A German shepherd led a U.S. Marine toward a pile of fallen branches and the sound that changed everything. Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's return to our main character. He wasn't supposed to hear it. Staff Sergeant Noah Hayes moves through the late afternoon forest the way a man walks through old memories, slow, steady, with a kind of quiet that belongs to someone who has spent years listening for danger. The storm had passed only hours earlier, leaving the Montana hillside slick with rain and heavy with the scent of wet pine. Light slants through the branches in thin, trembling lines, catching the drifting mist like threads of silver. Beside him, River pads forward with a calm, purposeful trot. The German shepherd's coat is still damp, darkened to deep sable along his spine, and each step seems carved out of instinct older than language itself. His ears twitch at sounds Noah cannot detect. His breathing is steady, almost reverent, as if the earth itself is whispering to him. Noah adjusts the strap on his pack, feeling the familiar rub of canvas against his shoulder. The forest is quiet, too quiet for a place that should be groaning with the afterbreath of a passing storm. No cracking limbs. No distant owls. Just the faint drip of rainwater slipping from pine needles to the forest floor. River stops. Completely. No warning, no hesitation. His body stiffens, tail low, ears pointed sharply toward a tangle of fallen branches about 20 yards ahead, an unruly mound of snapped limbs, bark stripped clean by the storm's fury. What is it, boy? Noah whispers, but River doesn't look back. He takes one step forward, then another, controlled and silent. Noah feels something shift around them, not the wind, not the temperature, something deeper. A pause in the world's breathing. River glances over his shoulder, eyes catching the pale light, and in that single look Noah reads the message clearly, "Follow me." The Marine's pulse tightens. He has seen this exact posture before, K-9s in Afghanistan, freezing at the threshold of danger or discovery. The forest seems to lean inward as River moves toward the pile of branches. Noah follows slowly, boots pressing into the softened ground, the scent of wet earth rising with each step. Then it comes. Faint. Fragile. A sound Noah almost dismisses as imagination, a thin, wavering note carried on the damp air. It's small. Too small. But it is there. The kind of sound that should not exist in a place swallowed by storm and silence. Noah stops breathing for a moment, straining to catch it again. River hears it first. His ears flick sharply. His head tilts. Another soft, trembling sound threads its way out from beneath the broken branches, so delicate it seems to bruise the air around it. Noah's chest tightens. River edges closer, paw lifting with careful precision, waiting, listening, measuring the space between fear and hope. And Noah Hayes, a man trained to understand the difference between noise and meaning, suddenly realizes this isn't just a sound. It's a signal. A plea. And it will change everything. River edges closer to the tangled branches, his paws pressing softly into the damp earth, each step measured as if he fears the forest might hold its breath too tightly and lose the sound altogether. Staff Sergeant Noah Hayes follows, the air around him cooling in a way that has nothing to do with the weather. He has learned over the years that danger is loud, but truth, the kind that changes a life, often arrives in whispers. The faint trembling note rises again, barely more than a breath slipping through wood. Noah leans in, his gloved hand brushing aside a thin limb slick with rain. The scent of wet bark mixes with something else, something warm and living, fragile as the soft thud of his own heartbeat. River lowers his head, nose working in small, controlled motions. He makes a quiet sound in his throat, not a bark, not even a whine, more like a gentle insistence, urging Noah to look closer. The Marine kneels, his knees sinking slightly into the softened ground. Raindrops cling to his sleeves and fall onto the branches with tiny, echoing taps. He listens. There it is again. A delicate sound that wavers between a sigh and a plea. Not the wind. Not settling wood. Something alive beneath the weight of the storm's leftovers. Easy, boy, Noah murmurs. His voice is steady, but his breath betrays a flicker of wonder he cannot contain. River shifts his weight, glancing at Noah with those amber eyes that see more than muscle or instinct. They see purpose. They see need. Noah reaches forward, moving one branch at a time, careful not to disturb whatever lies hidden. Each limb he lifts reveals another layer of darkness beneath, a small cave carved by chance and stormwater. The temperature changes as he works, the air beneath the branches warmer, holding the quiet heat of a sheltered body. River steps beside him, placing one paw lightly on a thicker limb as if offering to help. The dog's ears tilt, listening to the faint sound again, and his tail lowers in a slow, respectful curve. Something is down there. Something that has held on through the night, waiting for the right set of hands and the right pair of paws. Noah pauses, letting the moment settle over him. The forest, moments ago heavy with silence, seems to draw closer, as though every leaf and needle bends inward to watch. He shifts another branch, careful not to let it snap, and feels the earth pulse with a small vibration in return. A movement. A breath. River looks at him, then at the hollow beneath the branches, then back again. A silent message. A shared understanding. Noah exhales, his breath warm against the cool air, and feels a steadying calm move through him. Whatever is hidden here is not meant to remain in the dark. Not anymore. He reaches deeper into the narrow space, guided by instinct, by the trembling note that refuses to fade, and by the unwavering trust of the dog at his side. Noah's fingertips brush the edge of the small hollow beneath the branches, and the warmth rising from it is unmistakable, a soft heat that does not belong to fallen wood or rain-soaked soil. River leans closer, his breath steady, forming small clouds that drift into the narrow space. The faint trembling sound comes again, a tiny quiver that seems to echo inside Noah's chest more than in his ears. He steadies his hand, letting it hover for a moment as though asking silent permission from whatever lies hidden. The forest feels strangely gentle now, the storm's chaos reduced to a quiet memory clinging to the air. Noah shifts one last branch aside, careful not to let it scrape, and the hollow becomes clearer. A small shape stirs within, wrapped in shadows and the fragile warmth of its own breath. Noah does not touch it yet. He waits, watching as the faint sound rises and falls like a fragile heartbeat. River lowers himself onto his elbows, nose close to the opening but respectful, as though he understands that gentleness is the only language allowed here. The dog's tail gives a slow, hopeful sweep against the damp ground. "It is all right," Noah whispers, though he is not sure whether he is speaking to the hidden creature, to River, or to himself. He adjusts his posture, leaning sideways to allow more light to spill into the hollow. Sunlight slips through the thinning branches above, catching on drifting mist and scattering across the forest floor in pale golden flecks. One beam settles on the hollow just long enough for Noah to see movement again, small and uncertain. The creature shifts slightly, making that same soft sound, a sound so delicate that Noah feels something inside him loosen, like a knot quietly untying. He extends his hand a little farther, palm open, showing nothing but patience. River watches with unblinking focus, ears twitching at every whisper of breath. Noah can feel the dog's trust in him, steady and grounding, as if River believes Noah will know exactly what to do, even if Noah is not sure yet. A gentle rustle rises from the hollow, and Noah freezes, not out of fear, but reverence. The small shape inside leans toward the new light, and the trembling sound grows a little stronger, as if encouraged by the warmth touching its space. Noah lowers his voice even more. "You are safe," he murmurs, letting the words drift softly, hoping they reach whatever fragile courage is tucked beneath the branches. The air feels warmer now, shaped by presence, by possibility. River shifts closer, placing his paw lightly beside Noah's leg, steady and sure. It feels like the forest itself is holding still, waiting for the moment when truth reveals its first breath. Noah inches his hand forward, feeling the warmth intensify as the small shape begins to move toward him. The trembling note softens into something quieter, almost hopeful, and Noah knows this is the moment everything begins to change. Noah waits, letting the quiet shape its own courage. The small form inches closer, guided by the warmth of his hand and the soft glow of the filtered sunlight. River holds perfectly still, every muscle of the loyal German shepherd balanced between patience and hope. The trembling sound rises once more, steadier now, as if recognizing something gentle reaching toward it. Noah breathes slowly, matching the fragile rhythm beneath the branches. The moment feels suspended, as though the forest itself is holding its breath. He moves another thin limb aside, widening the opening just enough for light to settle clearly into the hollow. That is when he sees it fully. A tiny figure, curled tightly against the damp ground, no larger than the span of Noah's palm. Its fur is matted from the storm and its sides rise in shallow, uncertain breaths. When the beam of sunlight touches it, the creature lifts its head just slightly, revealing eyes not yet accustomed to the world. The small pup releases a faint chirping cry, the very sound that drew them here in the first place. A fragile note, thin but determined, like a plea wrapped in hope. Noah's voice softens instinctively. "There you are," he whispers, more to the moment than to the creature itself. He extends his fingertips, allowing the pup to decide. It leans forward in a hesitant wobble, pressing its tiny nose to his hand. The warmth of that contact sends a tender ache through Noah's chest, something old and unspoken, a memory of the first time he held a rescue dog years ago overseas, when he believed the world still had a place for small miracles. River inches forward, lowering his head so that his breath brushes the pup gently. The tiny creature reacts with a quiver, then a soft settling noise, almost relieved. Noah watches the silent exchange, humbled by the unspoken trust threading between them. Soft mist drifts through the trees, and a new stillness settles over the clearing, not the emptiness from before, but a calm shaped by presence, by connection. Noah slides his hand slowly beneath the pup, lifting it with the care of someone holding something newly formed. The pup curls instinctively into the hollow of his palm, its small heartbeat warming his skin. River rises to his feet, standing close enough that Noah can feel the steady reassurance of his companion's presence. The dog's eyes reflect a quiet understanding, the same kind of understanding that comes from sensing what a human heart has not yet had time to admit. Noah looks down at the fragile life resting against his glove. The faint sound that drew them here has softened into a tired murmur, safe for the first time in hours. He feels the weight of responsibility settle gently into his chest, not heavy, but grounding. The forest seems to breathe again, leaves stirring softly overhead, as if acknowledging that something hidden has finally been found. Noah draws the pup closer to protect it from the cool breeze drifting through the clearing. River steps beside him, brushing lightly against his leg, steadying him. Together they stand in the quiet aftermath of discovery, a marine, a shepherd, and a life that waited in silence for someone to listen. Noah cradles the tiny pup against his chest, shielding it from the cool breeze drifting through the aftermath of the storm. The creature's warmth seeps gently through his glove, a soft reminder that some lives are held together by nothing more than breath and hope. River stands close, his shoulder brushing Noah's leg, offering steady presence without a sound. The German shepherd's eyes track every movement, alert yet calm, as if he understands the gravity of what they have found. The clearing around them grows quieter, settling into a hush that feels almost sacred. Moisture drips slowly from pine needles overhead, creating a soft rhythm that blends with the pup's fragile breaths. Noah adjusts his stance, feeling the damp earth shift beneath his boots, and for a moment he allows himself to simply listen. The tiny creature stirs, curling instinctively toward the heat of his chest. Its fur is still cool from the storm, but beneath that chill is a steady pulse, small yet determined. Noah feels it press into his palm, a rhythm that steadies him in a way he did not expect. River moves forward, nose touching the edge of Noah's forearm. He inhales gently, offering the softest chuff of reassurance, a sound that seems to tell the pup it is not alone. Noah lifts his free hand to stroke River's head, grateful for the dog's unwavering intuition. "You knew," he murmurs, barely louder than the wind threading through the branches. River blinks slowly, accepting the acknowledgement with quiet dignity. The forest light begins to shift as clouds part overhead, letting a pale wash of afternoon sun spill through the canopy. It lands across Noah's shoulders and the small form he carries, warming them both. The pup reacts with a faint, hopeful sound, lifting its head just enough to nuzzle closer. Noah studies the tiny face, the delicate whiskers trembling with each breath, and feels a gentle ache bloom beneath his ribs. There is something about vulnerability so pure that it strips away all the noise inside a person. He adjusts the pup in the crook of his arm, ensuring its body is supported and warm. A faint tremor runs through the small creature, not of fear, but relief. It burrows slightly deeper into the folds of his jacket, trusting him without hesitation. River circles once, then stands beside Noah again, posture straight, gaze fixed toward the forest path as if already anticipating the next step. The dog's calm confidence settles Noah's mind. He looks at the trail stretching back through the trees, the earth still dark from rain, and feels the decision settle into place. They cannot stay here. The pup needs warmth, food, and care, and every second in the cold steals strength it cannot spare. Noah lets the quiet linger for one more breath, taking in the stillness, the soft mist rising from the ground, the gentle companionship of the dog at his side. Then he holds the pup a little closer, feeling its heartbeat steady against him, and turns toward the path that will lead them out of the forest and toward safety. River falls into step beside him, guiding the way with silent purpose. Noah moves carefully through the forest path, each step steady, mindful of the small life resting against his chest. The pup's breaths come in soft, uneven waves, warming the fabric of his jacket. River walks beside him with a quiet certainty, his paws sinking into the softened earth, leaving gentle impressions that fill with rainwater. The air carries the scent of pine and damp soil, mingling with the fading chill of the storm. Light filters through the branches in thin, shifting bands that sweep across Noah's shoulders as he walks. The forest around them feels changed, no longer heavy with silence but alive with a quiet purpose. The pup stirs again, pressing closer to the heat of Noah's body. Its tiny paws shift weakly, a faint tremor whispering through its frame. Noah adjusts his hold, offering more support, creating a nest of warmth against the cool air. River glances up at him, ears tilting in a soft question, but seeing no distress, he returns his gaze to the trail ahead. Noah feels the dog's presence like an anchor, steadying him in a moment that feels bigger than himself. As they move through a narrow bend in the trail, a light breeze rises, carrying the smell of rain lifting from the needles above. It brushes across the pup's fur, and the small creature responds with a tiny sound, a murmur shaped by exhaustion but no longer by fear. Noah lowers his head slightly, letting his voice fall into the stillness. "You are going to be all right," he says, the words barely above a whisper. He is not sure whether the pup understands, but River seems to. The shepherd's tail gives a slow, reassuring sway. The forest floor begins to level as they near the main trail, and the mud becomes firmer beneath Noah's boots. Drops of water fall intermittently from overhead branches, tapping against the brim of his hat and the fabric of his sleeve. Each sound feels like a gentle reminder of how storm and calm often live side by side. The pup shifts again, nestling its head against the curve of Noah's palm. Its breaths are still shallow but growing more stable, each inhale a quiet testament to its resilience. River moves a half step ahead now, guiding them with purpose toward open ground. Noah follows the dog's lead, trusting his instincts the same way he has for years. The light grows brighter as the trees thin. A soft glow spreads across the clearing, warming the air with the promise of shelter beyond the woods. Noah feels relief rise gently through him, not sudden, not sharp, but steady, like the warmth of the pup against his chest. He pauses just before the path opens fully, letting the forest fall silent behind them. River stops too, turning back to look at him and the fragile life he carries. Something passes between the three of them in that quiet moment, a simple understanding that the hardest part of the journey is behind them, and the rest will unfold with care. Noah steps forward into the clearing, holding the pup close, while River walks at his side, guiding them both toward whatever comes next. Noah steps fully into the clearing, letting the sunlight settle gently across his shoulders, warming the damp fabric of his jacket. The small pup rests quietly against his chest, its breath soft and steady now, each one a fragile promise that the forest did not claim what little strength it had left. River walks just ahead, every movement deliberate, ears shifting with each distant sound. The world feels open here, wider than the narrow path they traveled moments before, and Noah senses the weight of the forest lift slowly from his mind. He pauses, adjusting the pup so its tiny head is cradled in the bend of his arm. The creature responds with a tired, hopeful sound, nudging lightly into the warmth of his jacket. Noah's gaze softens at the gesture. There is something about small, unexpected life that reaches a part of a person untouched by noise or duty. River circles back to Noah's side, brushing gently against his leg. His eyes rise to study the pup, then Noah, then the path ahead, as if mapping the safest way forward. Noah lowers his hand to rest briefly on the shepherd's head, grateful for the dog's unwavering presence. A soft breeze moves through the clearing, carrying the faint scent of wild sage and the clean trace of rain lifting from the grass. The sky above is a washed pale blue, with slow-moving clouds drifting like quiet thoughts over the peaks. As Noah walks, the small pup stirs again, stretching one delicate paw outward. It presses softly against the front of his jacket before curling back into a small, trembling bundle of fur. Noah shifts his grip just slightly so the creature's body is supported fully. "Hang in there," he murmurs, letting the words float gently into the open air. River's ears twitch at the sound, and he lifts his head as though agreeing. The landscape widens as they follow the worn trail leading toward Noah's truck. The ground is scattered with pine cones and damp leaves that crunch lightly underfoot despite the recent storm. Each step brings them closer to shelter, to warmth, to the promise of care the pup desperately needs. Noah's thoughts drift briefly to the small town down the road, to the modest clinic run by a veterinarian named Dr. Emily Carter. He has seen her patch up countless animals over the years, always with a gentleness that feels rooted in something deeper than training. She will know what to do. The pup gives a soft shiver, and Noah immediately brings it closer, instinctively shielding it from the slight chill rolling in from the hills. River notices the motion and moves a little closer, his presence protective, steady, familiar. They reach the edge of the clearing where the land dips slightly toward the gravel road. Noah pauses again, not out of uncertainty but out of quiet reverence for the moment, for the way life can bend unexpectedly toward hope when guided by the right set of paws. The pup nestles deeper into his arms, and River stands beside him like a silent promise that this fragile life, found beneath a broken tangle of fallen branches, will not be alone again. Together they continue toward the road, carrying the soft sound of survival into the open world that waits beyond the trees. Noah reaches the gravel road with slow, careful steps, feeling the ground firm beneath his boots as the forest fades into a soft hush behind him. The small pup lies tucked securely in the cradle of his arm, its warm breaths brushing against the fabric of his jacket in fragile, rhythmic pulses. River stands close to his side, his posture steady, his gaze shifting between the pup and the distant curve of the road as if reading every possible direction the next moment might take. A thin veil of sun breaks through the drifting clouds, washing the hillside in a gentle glow. It spills across Noah's shoulders and warms the damp edges of his jacket, and for the first time since he knelt beside that fallen tangle of branches, Noah feels a quiet sense of forward motion, steady and sure. The pup shifts slightly, releasing a soft, weary sound that seems to reach deeper into Noah than the forest's silence ever could. He adjusts his hold again, drawing the small creature closer so it can rest more comfortably. River moves one step nearer, brushing his shoulder lightly against Noah's leg in a way that feels like both reassurance and readiness. The breeze carries the scent of dust lifting from the road, mingling with the fading pine air that clings to them. Noah's truck sits a short distance away, its dark surface still marked by droplets from the earlier storm. He walks toward it. Each step slow enough to keep the pup steady, quick enough to close the distance without wasting its dwindling strength. River trots ahead briefly, then circles back, checking the space around them with focused purpose. When Noah reaches the truck, he pauses, letting the moment settle before he carefully opens the passenger door. The hinges give a soft creak, and the lingering warmth inside drifts outward to meet the cool afternoon air. Noah leans in, spreading his jacket to form a small cradle on the seat. The pup stirs as he lowers it gently into the nest of fabric, its small body curling instinctively into the warmth. The creature makes a faint sound, not of fear this time, but of relief, of a long moment of tension easing at last. River places his front paws on the step, stretching his neck forward to sniff the pup with the gentlest touch. His ears tilt, and he gives a soft chuff, a sound that seems to speak reassurance more clearly than words could. Noah watches the interaction with a warmth rising inside him. There is something sacred in the way River handles small, fragile things, as if he recognizes their weight without ever needing to be taught. Noah lifts a hand to stroke River's head. "We will take care of him," he says quietly. The shepherd meets his gaze, steady and trusting, before stepping back to allow Noah to close the passenger door. Noah walks around to the driver's side, the gravel crunching softly beneath his boots. When he opens the door, River jumps lightly into the back seat, settling himself where he can still see the pup. Noah sits behind the wheel and takes one slow breath. The engine hums to life, a low, reassuring vibration that fills the cabin. As he pulls onto the road, he glances at the small shape curled safely in his jacket on the seat beside him. The pup's breathing is steady now, its tiny chest rising and falling like a quiet promise. River watches over it with calm devotion, his amber eyes reflecting the soft light drifting through the windshield. The road stretches ahead, leading them toward help, toward warmth, toward whatever truth waits to be uncovered. And together they travel forward, carrying a fragile thread of hope between them, unspoken but unmistakably real. The road unwinds before them in long, gentle curves, carrying the truck down from the forest's edge toward the small town nestled in the valley. Afternoon light settles softly on the windshield, tinting everything in a warm, gold haze that seems to ease the tension in the air. The pup lies curled on the passenger seat, tucked safely inside Noah's jacket, its breaths shallow but steady, each rise of its tiny chest a quiet reminder of the life they pulled from the shadows. River watches from the back seat, his amber eyes trained on the pup with unwavering focus. Every few minutes he leans forward just enough to make sure it is still breathing, then settles back with a slow exhale, as if releasing a worry only he fully understands. Noah glances at them both, his hands loose on the steering wheel. The hum of the engine pairs with the soft rattle of loose gravel beneath the tires, creating a rhythm that settles into his chest. It is the kind of sound that has carried him through long nights on lonely roads, but today it feels different, quieter, almost reverent. As he approaches the outskirts of town, a sliver of doubt edges into his thoughts. He wonders how something so small survived long enough for River to find it. The storm had been harsh. The forest unforgiving. For the pup to still be breathing feels like something more than luck. He looks again at River through the rearview mirror. The shepherd lifts his head, meeting Noah's gaze, and in that steady look Noah senses the same unspoken thought. Some things are found because they are meant to be. The pup shifts slightly, emitting a faint murmur. Noah reaches over with a gentle hand, letting his fingers brush the top of its small head. The warmth beneath his fingertips reassures him, grounding him. He can feel the tiny heartbeat, fluttering but fighting. "We are almost there," he says softly. The truck turns onto a quieter road lined with cottonwood trees that sway lightly in the breeze. Their leaves shimmer with the last traces of moisture from the storm, catching the sunlight in flickers of pale silver. The town sits peacefully ahead, smoke curling from a few chimneys, the distant shape of the veterinary clinic standing near the end of a modest row of buildings. As Noah drives, something catches his eye on the side of the road, a patch of flattened grass, leading into a narrow gap between the trees. He slows slightly, instinct brushing against the edge of his awareness. River lifts his head immediately, ears alert, posture shifting from calm to attentive. Noah glances again, noting how the grass is bent in a direction that suggests something had been dragged or had moved hurriedly toward the woods. Not violently, but intentionally. A faint unease stirs, but he keeps the truck moving forward. The pup needs care first. Everything else can wait. The clinic comes into view, its small wooden sign swaying gently in the breeze. As Noah pulls into the gravel lot, River leans forward, eyes fixed on the pup with soft determination. The Marine turns off the engine, and the sudden quiet fills the truck like a held breath. Noah rests his hand on the small bundle beside him. The pup responds with a faint nuzzle into the warmth of his jacket. River's ears lift, as if sensing the shift in the air, ready for whatever comes next. Noah opens the door slowly, feeling the cool breeze brush across his face. He gathers the pup into his arms with infinite care, holding it close as if shielding the fragile thread of hope it carries. River jumps down beside him, landing softly on the gravel, ready to stay at his side. Together, they take their first steps toward the clinic door, unaware that what they discovered in the forest was only the beginning of the truth waiting to be found. Noah pushes the clinic door open with his shoulder, letting a soft chime drift through the quiet interior. Warm air greets them, carrying the clean scent of antiseptic and cedar shavings. The shift from the cool breeze outside to the gentle warmth inside feels almost like stepping into a small sanctuary, a place where fragile things are allowed to heal. Dr. Emily Carter looks up from the counter, her expression shifting immediately from routine focus to quiet concern as she notices the small bundle in Noah's arms. Her eyes soften, taking in the pup's still form nestled against the folds of his jacket. "Bring him here," she says gently, her voice warm and steady, guiding Noah toward a padded examination table. River walks beside him, his steps careful, as though he understands the importance of the moment. When Noah lays the pup on the soft surface, it curls slightly, seeking the nearest pocket of warmth. Its small body trembles once, then settles. Emily moves closer, her hands calm and practiced as she examines the tiny creature. She checks its temperature, its heartbeat, its breathing, each motion deliberate and respectful, as though she is listening to something deeper than simple signs. Noah watches her work, his hands resting lightly on River's back. The shepherd stands tall beside him, ears tilted forward, eyes tracing every movement Emily makes. It is clear he will not relax until she gives her silent verdict. The seconds stretch gently, filled with nothing but the soft hum of equipment and the pup's faint breaths. Emily finally exhales, her shoulders easing. "He is cold and dehydrated," she says softly, "but he is stronger than he looks. He just needs warmth, fluids, and rest." Relief slides quietly through Noah, warm and slow, like sunlight spreading across a cold morning. He had prepared himself for a harder truth, but the gentle steadiness in Emily's tone anchors him. River releases a quiet chuff, almost as if he understands. Emily retrieves a small heated blanket, wrapping it carefully around the pup. The tiny creature nuzzles into the warmth, releasing a soft sound that feels almost like gratitude. Noah watches the rise and fall of its breaths, steadier now, more confident. "Where did you find him?" Emily asks, her voice still low. Noah describes the hollow beneath the fallen branches, the trembling sound that led them there, and the strange patch of flattened grass they had seen on the road into town. Emily listens closely, her brow tightening just slightly at the last detail. Something thoughtful passes across her face, but she does not voice it. Instead, she places her hand lightly on the pup's head. "He is safe now," she says. "Whatever happened before, it is behind him." Noah nods, though a faint unease lingers at the edges of his mind. The pup shifts gently beneath the blanket, pushing its nose into the warmth, and River leans closer, watching with soft eyes. For a moment, the three of them stand in a quiet stillness shaped by relief and wonder. Emily steps back and begins preparing a small set of supplies, her movements steady and confident. Noah stays beside the table, one hand resting on River as the other hovers protectively near the pup. And in the warm light of the clinic, with the soft hum of life reclaiming itself, he feels something settle in his chest, the undeniable sense that they were meant to find this fragile life, and perhaps something more that has yet to reveal itself. Emily prepares a small warming device on the counter, the soft glow from its surface casting a gentle light across the examination room. The pup rests beneath the heated blanket, its breaths growing fuller, no longer strained but slow and peaceful. Noah stands close, one hand resting on the edge of the table, the other brushing lightly along River's neck. The shepherd stays pressed to his side, steady and quiet, his eyes fixed on the tiny creature as if guarding its every breath. The clinic hums with a quiet life, the distant sound of a clock ticking blending with the muted rustle of Emily's movements. She checks the pup's temperature once more, her expression thoughtful but calm. "His strength surprises me," she says softly. "He must have held on through more than we will ever know." Noah nods, watching the way the pup shifts its tiny paws beneath the blanket. He can see the warmth returning to its small body, the faint thrill of life pushing gently against the weight of exhaustion. River lowers his head, sniffing the edge of the blanket with the lightest touch, his posture tender and protective. Emily moves to a small drawer and retrieves a bottle of formula, warming it between her hands. She prepares a tiny syringe, careful and precise, before returning to the table. "He may be strong inside," she says quietly, "but he still needs help. He is too young to feed on his own, so we will give him a little now." Noah watches as she lifts the pup gently, supporting its head. The tiny creature gives a faint chirp, the sound soft but clear, and Noah feels something inside him respond with an unexpected warmth. Emily offers the first drop of formula to the pup's mouth. It hesitates for a moment, then accepts it, its tiny movements slow but determined. River watches intently, his ears tilted forward, his breath steady. When the pup swallows the first bit of nourishment, Noah feels a sense of relief deeper than anything he has allowed himself to feel in months. It is not dramatic, not loud, but a quiet settling, like a stone finding its place in a riverbed. Emily continues feeding the pup slowly, giving it time to adjust. The creature's eyes flutter, then close, as if reassured by the warmth of the room, the gentle touch, and the soft presence of the two who carried it from the woods. When the pup finishes, Emily wraps it again, creating a small cocoon of heat and safety. She places it back on the padded table, her voice low and steady. "He is not out of danger yet," she says, "but he is fighting. And that is something." Noah looks at the pup, then at River, then back at Emily. "Thank you," he murmurs, though the words feel too small for what he means. Emily gives a kind smile. "He would not be here without you too." River leans his head gently against Noah's hip, as if agreeing. The room falls into a peaceful quiet. The pup sleeps with its small face pressed into the blanket, its breaths warm and steady. Noah watches the gentle rise and fall of its chest, feeling a quiet sense of connection, fragile but profound. Something unspoken settles over the room, a sense that what began beneath a tangle of fallen branches has become something much larger than chance. And in that warm, quiet space, with River beside him and the pup finally resting safely, Noah realizes that this small life has already changed something inside him. Emily dims the overhead light to a softer glow, allowing the room to settle into a warmth that feels almost protective. The pup sleeps beneath its tiny blanket, its breaths rising in a gentle, reassuring rhythm. Noah stands close enough to feel the warmth radiating from the table, yet far enough to give the small creature space to rest. River remains beside him, his posture calm but deeply attentive, as though guarding both the pup and the quiet in the room. The soft hum of a heater fills the silence, wrapping the space in an atmosphere that feels almost sacred. Noah watches the pup's fragile movements, each breath a small act of trust, each sigh a reminder that even the smallest life holds a depth that cannot be ignored. Emily steps closer, holding a clipboard lightly against her chest. Her voice, when she speaks, is gentle and low. He will need a few hours of warmth, and a few more feedings. But he is responding. That is the most important thing. Her words bring a softness to Noah's expression. He looks at River, who lifts his head with quiet pride. It strikes Noah that the shepherd had sensed something long before he did, hearing the faint cry the forest nearly swallowed. He rests his hand on River's back, feeling the steady rise and fall of the dog's breathing beneath his palm. You did well today, Noah murmurs. River closes his eyes briefly, leaning into the touch. Emily sets the clipboard on the counter and pauses, studying Noah with a thoughtful expression. You know, she says softly, some animals carry a sense about them. They know when they are needed. Noah follows her gaze to the pup, then back to River. There is something deeper in her words that lingers in the room, a quiet acknowledgement that moments like these carry a meaning that goes beyond explanation. The pup shifts beneath the blanket, its small paw stretching out for a moment before settling again. Noah steps a little closer, his voice dropping to a gentle whisper. You hang in there, little one. Emily nods, her eyes warm. He chose the right person to hear him. The comment settles into Noah's chest with a warmth he cannot quite name. He is not a man who searches for signs, but something about the way River led him, the way the forest opened just enough to reveal the tiny hollow, feels like more than chance. The room grows quiet again, filled only with the soft breaths of three lives that somehow found each other. Noah glances at the window, watching as the last stretch of daylight fades into a muted glow across the horizon. The clinic lights cast long shadows that sway gently with the movement of the heater's warmth. Emily adjusts the pup's blanket once more, ensuring the tiny body remains cocooned in comfort. You can stay as long as you need, she says, her tone soft and reassuring. Noah nods, settling his weight beside the table. River lies down at his feet, curling his body protectively around the space where Noah stands. The quiet deepens, becoming peaceful rather than heavy. A sense of gratitude settles inside Noah, slow and steady, like a tide rising without noise. He watches the pup breathe, watches River keep his silent vigil, and feels something in his heart shift, gentle, certain, and quietly profound. The last light of evening settles over the clinic windows, soft and amber, stretching long reflections across the floor where River rests with his head on his paws. Noah remains beside the examination table, one hand resting near the tiny pup, as if anchoring himself to the quiet miracle sleeping beneath the blanket. The room has fallen into a hush, not empty but full in a different way, shaped by the gentle rise and fall of breath, the steady hum of the heater, and the soft weight of gratitude that lingers like warmth after a long storm. Emily moves quietly around the room, checking small instruments, adjusting settings, giving the pup one final glance before stepping back. He will sleep for a while, she whispers, her voice barely above the soft tap of her footsteps. Noah nods, his gaze never leaving the small bundle. The pup stirs slightly, shifting one tiny paw outward before settling again into the blanket's cocoon. The movement is subtle, but it is enough to bring a slow smile to Noah's face. River lifts his head, watching the pup with gentle eyes, and lets out a breath that sounds almost like a sigh of relief. The shepherd rises, stretches once, then walks quietly to Noah's side, nudging his hand with a soft insistence. Noah kneels, placing one hand on River's chest, feeling the warmth and strength beneath the thick fur. You saved him, Noah says, the words quiet but certain. River leans into the touch, accepting the sentiment with the quiet dignity only a loyal dog can carry. Emily watches them for a moment, a soft smile tugging at the edges of her expression, then turns off the small lamp near the counter, letting the dim glow from the heater and the fading light outside carry the room. "You both did," she replies gently. The pup releases a tiny sound, a soft murmur of contentment, as though sensing the safety that now surrounds it. Noah rises slowly, his muscles stiff from hours of quiet vigilance, but his heart feels lighter than it has in a long time. He looks down at the pup, watching its small chest rise and fall with steady determination. Something in that rhythm feels like a promise, fragile yet certain. A moment passes, a stillness that feels almost sacred, where nothing needs to be said. Emily steps quietly toward the doorway, giving them space. And River settles once again at Noah's feet, curling his body protectively around the chair leg. Noah reaches out to touch the edge of the blanket, brushing the soft fabric with the gentlest motion. The life beneath it, fragile yet fierce, responds with a faint sigh. "You held on," Noah murmurs. "You did not give up." The pup's breathing deepens, peaceful and trusting. Outside, the evening sky shifts into a deeper shade of blue, holding the last streaks of daylight like a quiet farewell. The world feels slower now, softened by gratitude and the soft pulse of new life. Noah steps back, resting a hand on River's head. The shepherd lifts his gaze, steady and knowing, as if sensing that the journey they began beneath the fallen branches has found its first moment of grace. And in that stillness, surrounded by warmth and the quiet breath of a life they were never meant to find, Noah understands something simple and powerful: even the smallest cry for help can carry a miracle, if someone is listening. The pup sleeps on, wrapped in warmth and held by the gentle truth that it is no longer alone.